Everyone, welcome back to our channel. My name is Sam.
I'm Adrian.
And we are Mystique Hunters Investigations. Tonight we are going to be starting our new segment called Paranormal Hot Topics. So tonight what we're going to be doing is we're all going to go around the table. We're going to share our personal paranormal experiences. And if you don't have any, you don't have to share. If you don't want to share, you don't have to. I'm going to share. Adrian's going to share. I know my mom will share. Ashley, if you want to, you can. Mel, if you have any or know of any, you can. Doesn't matter.
Oh, Andy. There's Andy.
Yes. And then we'll kind of get into what got us interested in investigating paranormal. So, who wants to go first?
Ashley.
So, over here we have my mom, our friend Ashley, and Mel, and of course Adrian and myself. So, alright, so Ashley is going to share her paranormal experience. So, what is your first paranormal experience that you ever had?
Okay, the one that involved me basically was that I was in Monterrey, Mexico, visiting my grandparents.
Well, that's where you went wrong.
And I think I was about 7 or 8. And then I know my grandparents' house, usually it's very haunted. Everyone has like their own paranormal experiences. It comes from like when my mom was little to even like when my grandparents were really young. So that house has been in our family for about 50 or 60 years.
Okay.
And usually the house is was located outside of Monterrey. However, now since Monterrey has gotten so big, now it's in downtown. So my first paranormal experience was I was upstairs in the room. I was going to try to wake up my grandpa, and however, he wasn't there. So whenever I went there, like I felt like something was watching me. And they have like this closet. It's kind of like a little Yankee kind of type of thing. It's like a homemade closet. Mm-hmm. So then I heard something slide, and I turned around, and there was nothing there. So then I went, towards the rooms in the other, above the house. They have other rooms, and there was no one upstairs. And then all of a sudden, like I turned around, and I just saw like this black shadow behind me. And then I kind of freaked out a little bit, so I kind of ran downstairs. And everyone in our family has seen that shadow. We don't know what it is, but it has touched like people. Like it'll leave like little handprints in our family.
Oh.
Depending. So we don't know what it actually is.
Okay, and did this happen like during the day? Was it at night?
It happened during the day.
Oh, okay.
So,
wow.
Yeah. So it affects everyone differently in our house. So usually some people, will get like imprints. Some people will get scratches. Some people will hear noise, like things moving around the house. So
would you only experience that, or other family members experience that only when they were by themselves?
Only when they're by themselves.
But everybody has experienced something.
Yes.
Not all the same thing though, like it's all in different places of the house and things like that?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's just one of them.
Okay. That's very interesting. Also, yeah, so was it a full, did you pay attention? Like, was it a full body, like, apparition? Was it just a shadow? Was it just, like, a mist? Like,
from what I remember, it was just, like, a quick black shadow, kind of like a Dementor type of thing.
Oh, okay. So it was just more, like, not full on, it was just, like, a glimpse of something.
Yeah, like something just floating, like, walked past.
Very interesting. Okay, Mel?
Oh, let's talk about Andy.
Let's talk about Andy.
I thought you were going to sing it. Dude, that was your cue.
Oh, okay, do it again.
Oh! Let's talk about Andy.
This is going to be our blooper. 100%. Wait.
So, growing up, I lived in small town Bertram. It's, it's about, 45 minutes, almost an hour from here anyways. But, just growing up, living in the house, like my parents have a mobile home, and where the property is, my grandparents own the whole street. Yeah, the whole property down the street is nothing but family and stuff. But I think it's only been experienced on that end of the street where my parents' house is and where my brother's house is next door. But growing up there, I would always feel like there's a presence in the house, especially like in my bedroom and in the back half of the house. And my brother he would see shadows in his closet. This is why you guys make fun of me that I have to close the closet door every single night. This is why.
Girl, who makes fun of you? Because that becomes my closet door too.
Right here. Yeah.
Over there, I got
Yeah.
some in my closet.
Yeah, some in my closet.
Okay.
But yeah, there was always seemed like at night it always felt like there was a presence or something there. So then there's one time, me and my brother had gotten in a fight and we were arguing and whatever. So I went down to my mom and dad's room, and of course he went right behind me. We're kind of like tattletaling on each other and whatnot. And then my brother goes back to his room. He closes the door. And I'm so mad. I'm telling my parents are yelling at me. I'm getting in trouble for everything. And then I'm so mad, and I'm walking back to the house, and I walk through the kitchen, and something grabs my ankle like this. And I yanked my foot away and ran all the way to my room and just threw the door behind me and jumped on the bed. And I was like, I don't know what that was. And then when I opened the door to look, I went down the hallway and looked, and I knocked on my brother's door, and he's like, "What do you want?" And he was in his room.
Wait, was it from under the table?
It was behind the counter.
But there's nothing like, I know what your mom's house looks
Yeah.
like. There's no way like a person
And she
could be
doesn't have
under
that.
there.
She doesn't have that countertop anymore because
Yeah.
it was just an island.
Yeah, like
hanging
an
out.
island.
And you'd have to walk past the island. The refrigerator's on one
Like there's not
side.
enough space for a body to
No.
just sit down there and
No.
be like this. Like,
But no, I got my ankle grabbed like that. And I just ran all the way back to my room.
oh no.
So touchy.
But come to find out that the property apparently was fairgrounds way back like in the 1800s or something. It used to be fairgrounds. And apparently, I don't know where the story even came from, but we had heard that there was a kid that was young that he had died at a rodeo on those fairgrounds. And then so we just named him Andy and said that's who he is. We just, everything that we see or experience, and it's like, oh, that's Andy.
That's Andy, yeah.
And it even kind of became a joke, and then not to be even afraid of him anymore, really, because
Yeah.
it's like, there was always something there in the house.
Boston, what you doing over there? You getting comfortable. Minnie,
Oh God, I have so many.
we'll share your very first
I
one
guess
that you remember.
The first one I can remember that's paranormal activity would be, we were living in Arkansas, went to go spend the weekend with some friends of my mom's and her friend's friend. It was a big, like, double wide mobile home. We all went, we were having fun, we had barbecue outside, then we all went inside. It was probably after midnight sometime. They're like, everybody needs to go to sleep, everyone needs to go to bed. So I had laid down, I needed to go to the bathroom, so I got up and I had to walk across like a big living area to go by the kitchen and into a bathroom. I went into the bathroom, came out, and I saw like an apparition of a woman in what looked like a white dress, like just gliding across into the kitchen. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm just seeing things. I mean, I'm like, I don't understand what that could have been. I was probably about 12 years old. So to me, I didn't know what that was, but I know I saw something. So I ran across the hallway and I jumped into the pallet that they had made for us. And I just laid there and I was just like frozen stiff. Like I was like so scared. The next morning, I asked the lady that owned the house, I was like, were you up last night or someone, do you have a white gown? Or someone in the kitchen that wears a long flowy white gown? And she was like, oh. She goes, no. She goes, there's a woman that we believe her property was here and she passed away on her property. We believe it's her apparition that we sometimes see in the house. And I was so freaked out because I was like, I actually saw something that was like real. Like I saw it with my own eyes. And I think that's the first experience I can recall of like an actual, like paranormal, like a ghost. Mm-hmm. Some kind of ghost or something. But yeah, that was my first experience.
Adrian?
Okay, so my first experience, which actually ties into all my other experiences, but the first time I ever had anything paranormal happen to me was when we lived in Indiana. And I always had really weird dreams, and so I would dream of like this spider on the ceiling all the time, like right above my bed. And then one day, my dad was like, I was talking about it, I was like, yeah, I had a weird dream that there was like a spider on the ceiling. He was like, that's weird, I had the same dream, like that there was a spider on the ceiling. Well, the next time I went to go to bed, I was in my room and I had woken up and I knew I was awake. And I saw somebody in my doorway, and I assumed it was my mom because their room was literally like my room right here and their room right there. And so I was just like, Mom, what are you doing? Mom. And it wasn't answering, and I was like, Mom, like, why are you standing there? And then whatever it was lunged at me while I was in bed. It had the face, it looked like an old man, but it had razor sharp teeth, like stringy, scraggly hair, and it just lunged right at me. I remember that face like it was yesterday. And so I got under the covers and I stayed there until morning and like didn't come out or anything until it was light outside.
You said razor sharp teeth?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, remember that picture we got at her house? That thing, that face, it looked like it had sharp teeth?
Yeah.
Did it
was
look- it kinda
similar,
look
it
like
was
that?
similar to those teeth, yeah.
Maybe.
But
Yeah,
that
that
was
is-
my beginnings with the old man figure.
Yeah, his story, we'll
Have
get a
you-
little bit more into
Have
this.
you seen it often?
I used to see him often, yes. Like, I started seeing, that was the first time I saw him, and then I didn't see him again until we roomed up together. And
We're
lived
gonna
together.
get it, we're gonna
Yeah.
get into it, guys. We're
And then
gonna
it got
get
worse
into
after, it got worse after that. So, okay.
Okay, well, my very first paranormal experience was when I was a child as well. So it was after you and Dad had divorced. So how old would I have been? Like 7, 8?
8. Yeah,
Okay.
about 8.
And me and my brother shared a room, and it was like nighttime for sure. Everybody was asleep. You were in your room. I think Mel was in her room, and it was dark. It was dark. We had a twin bed. Do we have a twin bed, me and Junior, or we had a bunk bed? I can't remember.
What house was it?
The duplex.
Yeah, you had a bunk
Yeah,
bed.
you had bunk beds.
Did I have a twin though that I could get under?
Yeah, it was
Like a
like,
trundle, or-
it was like red, and it was like larger on the bottom and then smaller on the top, and you had
Okay.
like steps that went up it on the side.
Okay, because I remember. Okay, so anyways, it was late at night. Everybody was asleep, and the first thing was I woke up to like 3 loud like bangs, but it was on the front door, which was next to my bedroom. And to me, it sounded like someone was trying to kick down the door, and I was like, it woke me up and it scared me, and I was like, what the heck? And then I looked out the window that's next to our bed, and the blinds were open, and I saw the shadow, like a black shadow of a man, like peering into the window. And I was like freaked out. I was like, oh my God, there's someone outside. So like I immediately like crawled under the bed, and then I told Junior, I was like, get up, get up. I was like, get under the bed, hurry up and get under the bed. There's someone outside like trying to get in. I just remember like I was so freaked out. And then finally I was like, oh my God, I gotta go tell my mom, because like I really thought there was like an actual person like trying to get into the house, like breaking in or something. I don't know, I was a kid and it just freaked me out. So I mustered up the courage, because as dark as, I was terrified of the dark as a kid. I ran across, because her room was straight across, and I ran across, and then I went and told her, and that's when I remember you got up, and then you grabbed the baseball bat.
Mm-hmm.
So she grabbed the baseball bat, and then, of course, went outside. Did you get up too?
I think so.
Yeah, I think you got up too. And they went outside to check, like, okay, surrounding area, is there anybody out there? And there was no one there. And you chalked it up to being sunflowers outside the window, because
Yeah.
we had sunflowers outside of our window, and they were taller. But I knew it wasn't sunflowers. I was like, that was a straight up man's face that I saw like peering into the window. So that was my very first paranormal experience. And I also actually still need to find it, but I wrote a book about it in the 3rd grade. So in the 3rd grade, they allowed us to write a book, and they published it for us. Now imagine a third grader writing about this.
Everybody's sunshine and rainbows, and she's all.
Her teacher said she had a very creative and imaginative mind.
Yeah, it was so.
a man outside.
No, like if I could find that book to show you like the illustration, because I drew pictures too. Like I need to find that book. But like, could you just imagine like the teachers were like, what the actual hell
Right?
is this? Like this is some twisted shit. So yeah, that was my very first that I can remember paranormal experience. So I'm gonna ask you, what was the experience that made you want to get into paranormal investigating?
Well,
Or
okay.
what intrigued you?
So I've always had just a passion for the paranormal or things that are not normal. Ghosts, zombies, scary movies, stuff like that. And I remember at one point when I was in elementary school, I think it was like 4th grade or something like that, when I learned what like paranormal psychology was, and I was like, oh, I want to pursue that as a career, but like there weren't many like outlets or anything like that. So I kind of like, brushed it to the side and didn't really, think about it, because I was like, oh, I don't think that's going to be like a realistic thing until, I met y'all and like, actually going to like cemeteries and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, this is actually something like I can do, in my day-to-day life. But as far as what sparked it, I've always had like an interest in just the paranormal and stuff like that. My dad would always put on scary movies to try and scare us during the day. I remember I was sitting right in front of the TV because we were watching Power Rangers, and he liked to channel surf. And so he flipped it to The Exorcist, and the first thing I see is her head turning all the way around, and I just screamed my head off. But from that point on, I was so intrigued by scary movies. They would watch scary movies all the time, like when Sleepy Hollow came out. And like I would sneak behind the couch, and they would be like, "Go to your room," and I would sneak behind the couch and like watch. I've always loved the paranormal, or like the whole cover your eyes.
Yeah,
and, like,
yes. And you're just like,
I'm like but no, I've just always had an interest in and I think it sparks from my curiosity in just general. Like I just want to know. Like if there's something out there, I just want to know like what it is. If there's something somewhere that people can't explain, I just want to know. I want to be able to try and find an answer or
an
something.
experience.
Or experience it for myself.
What made you interested in the paranormal?
I think for me, it's just, there's always been something in our family that there's paranormal activity involved or other kind of activity involved, and I feel like I've made some weird connections, like at times, to where I felt like how, I guess, premonitions and also
Like psychic abilities.
psychic abilities, yeah, like where I was having a dream that someone in my family was passing away, and within 2 minutes of that, I get a call that my uncle was passing away. So I felt like I had
Clairvoyant.
some sort of abilities that, that really piqued my interest in it. And then just wanting to know like what's really out there, because I feel like there is something that is unexplainable in a lot of circumstances. So it's really just wanting to be able to make that connection and see if I can connect the dots to what it could be, what's really out there. And for me also, I think it's just like,
We were talking about what got you into the paranormal, right? Okay.
and I think I was saying that for me it was just really trying to make some sort of connection to where maybe I can connect with even like family members. And for me it's always getting answers about my dad, but like that's really what interests me. And I mean, Jess had talked about it for 10 years ago. We talked about starting our own ghost hunting, investigating kind of thing. So I think it's just always piqued my interest. It's something that intrigues me.
Mel, is there anything that interests you about the paranormal?
No, I mean, I'm glad you guys started doing this, for one. I mean, because, it gets me interested in it, of course. But I mean, just the same, it's like, you know, just to find out the possibilities or even to experience something like that, because not everybody believes it's like, oh, that you're just seeing things or chalk it up to something else. But until you actually experience it, and then you don't believe it, or it's easy to be like, it's not.
Like the cliche saying is believing, but it's like
Right.
so true. Like it really, until you experience
And it's one
it.
thing, it's like, then when you actually like see an investigation on somebody else's video or something like that, actually to be there in person to experience it right then and there. And then also, I mean, just like you said, if there was ever a chance to even connect with the loved one or something to experience that. I mean, I feel like I've felt my grandmother around me. So, I mean, I do believe in that.
Yeah. And you find dimes. Like you have a whole thing of dimes. Like your thing is finding dimes, which I find them too.
Yes,
Like
my
found one in my car earlier. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah, it's weird, right? Just like, why is there diamond here? I never had cash. There's dimes in the car.
Is there anything that interests you about the paranormal?
I think just me, like, I kind of want to see if there's more out there. I think part of me always kind of has been a skeptic a little bit.
Yeah.
Just because I kind of been around it all my life a little bit. So, like, my family has all these stories, and, like, you know, we have Glenditas in our family, and all that stuff. So, part of me is kind of just a little bit skeptic. But then part of me, you know, kind of just wants to believe and see, like, what else is there?
Yeah.
Like, I really want to be proved wrong.
Right. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like that's a good take to have.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I feel like what really like got me into the paranormal investigation was when we went to Jess's, or when she was staying with Tom's mom and Tom, and we went to go do that cleansing of the house. Your mom went to go bless the house, and then we had something come back with us, and we were just joking around, me, Jess, and Junior, my brother. And we downloaded some app on our phone that was like a ghost hunting app, and like if the little dot popped up on the app, that meant that there was like a spirit in the room. And so like we were recording too on the phone, I think. It had to have been all on the phone.
It was.
And so like we were just walking around, and then we like saw it pop up, and then we're like, does that mean it's in here? And nobody else talked at that moment, but when we went back and we were listening to it, you could hear something go, yes! Just like that. Like, that's exactly how it sounded.
It was very...
Yeah.
And not only that, wasn't it a cabinet or something that had glass panes in the
In that house? Yes.
Yes, and there was a picture
Of a man
Of a man.
sitting on that chair.
sitting
Yeah.
across, like you can see his reflections
In the mirror,
In the
yeah.
mirror, sitting in the chair.
So, when we went to
We saw
go...
this afterwards.
Bless her house. I
Oh my
wish we
gosh.
still had these photos, but we were just taking pictures of everything while we were in there. And in the china cabinet at the house she was staying at, you could see in the reflection, it looked like a man in overalls, right? Like he was in overalls sitting on the recliner or the chair. And wasn't there like a woman's body at his feet or something like that?
Yeah, there was something.
Yeah,
at
it
his
looked,
feet.
it was like, what the heck? Like you could really like see it in those pictures, and I wish we still had them.
I think I do have them actually
Somewhere?
on my computer.
Somewhere, okay.
I have them in my computer. I'll have to really dig for those, but yeah.
But to me, like, doing that is kind of what, like, I don't know, it kind of excited me because I was like, oh, that, like, something really just happened. And we really caught that because, like, even Junior, which he's a skeptic, he doesn't really believe in any of this stuff. But when he heard that, he was like, what the heck was that? And I'm like, yeah. Like, that was, like, the moment when I was like, okay, that was, like, unexplainable. Like, how do you explain that voice? Like, because nobody else was talking at that moment. So that's what really, like, got me into it. And then, of course, like, all the experiences we had at the house, like, there was so much.
Yeah.
You want to share some more of your paranormal experiences? Kind of get us into that man that you were talking about?
Yeah, so I can explain a little bit more about the man. So, essentially, like, I had nothing happen. Like, that first story happened when I was, like, 14 or 15. And so nothing happened until, like, we moved in together. And literally the first day we were in the apartment, like, you were still packing up your stuff. I had just gotten all my stuff packed, like, moved in and everything like that. So I was in the apartment alone. And I was laying down in my bed and I heard like a blood-curdling scream of a woman outside. And it was just this high-pitched like, ah, like screaming for her life. And then I heard someone run down the hallway. And I was like, what in the world was that? So I looked out the balcony, I didn't see anything. And then I looked out in the hallway, didn't see anything. I was like, okay, that was weird. And that was literally the start of everything that like started happening in that apartment. We would see the lights in the laundry room go on and off by themselves, and they were motion detection, like motion sensors. So you open the door and you have to walk in for the light to come on. And we would literally just have the door closed and you could see the lights just turning on their own. Whenever it was nighttime, I would always see a dark, if her room door was open, I would see a dark figure standing in her room. I would hear plates and stuff moving around whenever I was like in my room with the door closed. I could hear them stuff moving around. But what really got me was when I came home from work one day and I set my stuff down and I laid down on the couch. I know for sure I closed the door and there was nothing on the counter. And so about like maybe an hour or two into my nap, I was like halfway awake, halfway asleep, and there he was, the old man figure. I remember his razor sharp teeth. He was completely naked, but he didn't have like parts or anything like that, like naked parts. He was just no clothes, very thin with like, you know, grayish skin, had like scraggly hair, razor sharp teeth, blood and like drool just coming from them. And he was standing over me with the like I'm laying on the couch and he's standing over me with a knife, just like he's getting ready to stab. And then finally I came up out of it and I woke up and our front door was wide open and there was a knife on the counter. And I was like, what in the world? And then there were just several moments after that, like I would keep seeing like dark figures in her room, and like there was one time it was like right at the doorway and it gave me the most like go away feeling. Like I was so terrified that I stayed out on the balcony until she got home from work. And then after that, we went our separate ways, and I moved into my own apartment, and I started seeing like the old man or like a shadow like just standing outside in my kitchen of the apartment that I lived in. And so I was like, what in the world is going on? And at the time, my depression was getting worse. I was gaining a lot of weight. I was having very bad, like, suicidal thoughts. I started self-harming again. And so I started seeing him everywhere. I would see him at work, the old man. I would see him just cross. I'd be on the high side running the dash, and I would just see him cross quickly out of the side of my eye, across the high side, like, into an aisle. I'm like, what the heck? Like, why am I seeing you during the day? Like, why am I seeing this all the time? Yeah. I would see him follow me, like, all the time, and I'm like, what is going on? And I would not sleep. I thought, you know, maybe if I got a dog, like, you know, this might help. And, like, so I got a dog. I rescued Cammie from the Humane Heroes, and, like, even she would not want to go into the, like, her water and stuff was in the kitchen. She would stay in my room. Like, she did not want to go out there, to the point where she would have accidents. She didn't want to go, like, run towards the door or anything like that, because to, like, let me know she had to go to the bathroom, because she didn't want to go out there.
So she sent something.
And that's the thing. Every time I had the door open to my room and I could see into the kitchen, I could see him standing there just watching me. And so, anyways, like, things were getting really bad. I was getting super suicidal. I was still self-harming and cutting and everything like that, which, trigger warning, sorry for anybody watching this.
Yeah.
But
I'll do a disclaimer.
Yeah, do a disclaimer. But I ended up going to the hospital because I thought I was having a heart attack, which turns out it was an anxiety attack. But still, and then I wasn't sleeping, and so two of my friends at the time were like, we can't have you like this. Like, you can't keep going through this. And so they came and they saged my apartment, and from that point on, I was like 10 times better. And so things started getting better. I moved into a new apartment, never saw him there. But the only thing that would be like the contributing factor was, as like, if my depression got worse, I would start to see him again. And then so I went a couple months without seeing him, and then I would start seeing him again as I'm walking into my apartment. He would be coming up the stairs, but I would like always rush, like, I hurried to get to the door and like I close it shut, so like he couldn't come in. And like I started seeing that again, and so once I made the decision to leave Leander and that store, and I got myself on a better routine with like my depression and my anxiety, I started healing from a lot of stuff and really coming into my own, my confidence getting better. Like I stopped seeing him like 100%, like in the flesh. And so that's why I think he was a very big, I think it was paranormal and also a personification of my mental health issues that I was going through. Because at the time too, when I think back of like when I started seeing him as a teenager, that's when I had just, got outed as, gay and all that stuff. And so I was super depressed, like I had no friends, things like that. And I was just sequestered to my room all the time. So like I was super depressed, and that's the first time I ever saw him. But in addition, I think it's a combination of that and something paranormal, because I'm like, why out of the blue would I just start seeing this figure that could manipulate things in my life, like open the door, leave the door wide open, leave a knife on the counter, like make my dog scared, like you know what I mean, like stuff like that. So I think it was definitely a combination. And I had one dream, and this was I think early last year. And this was the only time I've seen him since. It was early last year or 2 years ago. But this was the most recent time. I didn't really see him, but it was almost like, I don't know if I was astral projecting or something, but I came into our old apartment through the balcony. Like I came from the sky into that apartment, and everything was red. So everything was red in the room, and then I started seeing flashes of someone getting stabbed in her closet. Like the room that you were in, somebody getting stabbed in your closet, and then the front door was like jiggling, like something was trying to get in, and the whole room is red, and I'm like, why am I seeing this like right now? And it kept flashing towards somebody getting stabbed, and then all of a sudden I woke up and I was like asleep, but like my head was dangling off the bed, and I was like, maybe it's just because my blood was rushing to my head, and that's why I was seeing red. But like at the end of the dream, like the door opened and like I could see his hand. And so I took that almost as a sign of like, if I allow myself to get back to that point, he could come back at any moment. It's like he's always there, and he's like, if I give him a moment to like come back to creep back in, But thankfully I haven't seen him since. Yeah. So that's been very good. I will say though, ever since I moved back home, every time I get up in the middle of the night to get a drink of water, there is a shadow that stands in the corner right by and I'll show you when you come over on Saturday. It stands in the corner between the laundry room and the outside door, and it's a shadow. This one I don't get any negative feelings from, and I talk every time I see it. I just talk to it like it's normal. I'm just like, hey, I see you. But that one I don't get any negative feelings from. It's probably a family member or something.
Yeah, maybe.
What's interesting about this, when we talk about having psychic abilities and stuff like that, my mom too would have dreams of family members passing away. Literally next day she'd get a phone call. And so it was so bad, like she was having them back to back to back, that she stopped telling people her dreams. And then every now and again she'll have a dream about a family member. And now that I have more knowledge about this, I'm like, they were probably visiting you. Yeah. And then she's like, I heard some weird stuff at night, or were you like moving around? I'm like, no. I'm like, and I think for her, I think she definitely has some psychic ability, but she's so paranoid and like afraid that she doesn't acknowledge it. Whereas me, like anytime I get a sense or a feeling, or I feel like I may have, I want to explore it. I want to learn and see,
to, like, embrace it.
And embrace that ability and stuff like that. Mine's always been my intuition, though. I just know. I just know.
Claircognizance. Yeah, just the knowing of something. And then
you can feel when something's off. Yeah. But yeah, that's my story about the old man.
That's creepy as hell.
Yeah.
But I think because, like you said, you feel like it's part paranormal, and then you're thinking it could also have to do with your mental health. But like I think sometimes when we are struggling with our mental health is when we're at a weakened state, and it gives them the ability to be able to kind of take over a little bit more into your thoughts and stuff. So
Yeah.
So,
Crazy.
I will share my experience at the house. So this is gonna go back into after we went to my aunt's house that she was staying at, and we went to go do the blessing and the cleansing. Something touched her shoulder as she left that house. So that's how we believe that it came back to our house. Because honestly, I had never seen, like as a child, like it took me a while to realize that I saw an apparition, but I didn't know it was one then. So this was like the first one that I actually recognized as an apparition. But it's been going on for a while, huh? Because then Jess moved in with us. So Jess was living with us, right? Okay, so Jess was living with us. My Aunt Jess moved in with us. And I guess like over time it started to progress, like the happenings. And so it was just me, my grandma, my Uncle Lennox, Courtney, and my Aunt Jessica. And my grandma and I were standing in the hallway, the main hallway that led to our front door. So there's the hallway, and then there's the front door, here's the garage door, and then me and my grandma, and then there's this other hallway. There's a bedroom down there, and my aunt, my uncle, and my cousin were all in that room. So there's only 5 of us, and 3 of them are in that room, and we're in the hallway. And so we had a fridge in our garage, and that's where we kept drinks at. And so me and my grandma were just standing in the hallway, and we were talking to one another, and the garage door just opened, and you could hear it because there was like a sensor, and it would go dee-dee if you open. So it opened wide up, and I saw a black shadow figure, but a man walk into the garage. Well, at that moment, like it didn't click in my head that it was a shadow figure. I was like, oh, that was Lennox, because my grandma goes, who was that? And I was like, oh, that was Lennox. He just went to go like get a drink, and she's like, they're in the room. I said, no, that was Lennox. Like in my mind, I'm like, who else would it have been? Like it had to have been Lennox going to get a drink because it was a man. He was the only man in the house. So then I was like, no. And she's like, no, they're all in the room. So I walked over to the room, and they were all just sitting in there watching a movie. We were the only other 2 in the hallway where the garage was.
And you both saw it.
And we both saw it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we looked at each other, and she goes, I was like, they're all in the room. And she's like, I know. And I was like, who was that? And she's like, I don't know. And I was like, well, let's go look. And so we were like scared to go like check, but we did. I opened the garage door, and nothing. There was no one in there, like nobody in there at all. But that garage door, like full, and it was heavy too. Mm-hmm. It just full on opened, and you saw someone walk in there. And that was the first time I saw a shadow figure at that house. Well, I think as time progressed, like I started experiencing sleep paralysis a lot in that house, to the point where Mel's mom had to come like bless me, you know, because she was there one time when it happened, and I woke up crying because it was happening so often that I started to I was getting worried because it was like happening all the time. But every single time I would experience it, sometimes I'd take a nap during the day because I was like in middle school and high school. Yep. And I would take a nap, and I'd be laying there, and I could see my whole room just as it was. Like, I could see the daylight, I could see the ceiling fan moving, I could see everything around me just as it was. So I feel like I was, like my eyes were genuinely open because I could see everything that was there. But when I would wake up or whatever it was, as sleep paralysis, you can't move. Like, you can't move your body. The only thing I'd be able to move is my head, and I'd just be able to go like this. But I wouldn't be able to talk, and I could feel, and the time that her mom was there, I saw this black shadow standing over me, and it was like pushing down, like on my chest, like pushing down on me so that I could not move or get up. And I was just trying to call out to like Jesus, God, like it would not let me say a single word. I couldn't say or call upon anybody for any kind of help whatsoever. And it just had a hold over me, and I just felt like that immense like pressure on my chest, like it was just pushing down on me, and it just felt so like evil. And finally, like when I was able to come out of it, like I was just crying. I don't know if I went and got you or yeah. And then Mel's mom came in there and then like did a blessing. But I experienced that so much at that house, like anywhere in the home. Like there was one time that I was taking a nap in the living room. And I don't know if I've actually shared this with y'all, but I remember the feeling of sleep paralysis. I could see the light that was on, the TV, hear the noise in the background and everything. But I felt like in that moment, whatever the figure or entity or whatever it was like trying to take over me. Like it was trying to take control of me or something, because I kept hearing myself say like something about the devil or something like that, but my voice was like different. Like what I was hearing come out of my mouth was just different, and it scared the crap out of me. And then finally when I woke up, I just felt like I was in my body, but I wasn't like in control of my body. And I just remember going to my room and I was just staring at myself in the mirror for like probably like 5 minutes, and I was just like swaying like this, just doing that. And it was so weird, and it felt like out of body like experience, and that scared the life out of me too. But when I would come home from school, there was times that it would just be me in Boston, because y'all would be at work, and Junior, he had after school stuff because he was in student council, and I'd be laying on my bed, and Boston would be on the edge of my bed, and he would look out into the hallway, and he would start growling, and he would start like doing that low growl, and I could feel that I was being watched, and I would always get up and close my door. And to this day, I close my door when I sleep. Sometimes I sleep with it open now, though. But before, yeah, there was no way I could sleep with that door open, because I could feel it. Like, I could feel its presence.
Mm-hmm.
And I sleptwalk, actually, a lot, too, during that time. So I would come out, apparently, of my room, come stand at the end of the hallway and stare at them while they were watching TV in the living room. And they'd be like, "What are you doing?" And I guess I wouldn't respond or anything. Just be standing there staring.
Just staring.
Like weird, just staring.
Yeah. And then I would go into the laundry room in the dark and just be in there for what, like 5
Yeah, close the door, be in there, then go across and go into the bathroom with the lights off, go in there. Yeah, it was really weird.
Yeah. But I also, now that I think back, would sleepwalk as a kid.
You did.
And that was after you guys got divorced, so I had already experienced something paranormal. I believe that, like, I know people say, like, it could be a lot of psychological things with sleep paralysis, and that, you know, most people scientifically think it's just, like, psychological.
Like
Right.
hallucinations and
But having experienced those paranormal things and noticing that I've only really had sleep paralysis during those times, I really think, like, there is a connection
Yeah.
between the two.
Plus, I don't know if you remember, but there was one time we were in Bertram at Sylvia and Lupe's house, and you called, and you were like crying, you were upset, and you said that the stools that we had up against the bar, that one of them was,
Oh, yeah.
they were in the center of the hallway, and we had crosses
Oh, yeah.
that hung in the hallway, and she said the crosses were on the floor.
Yeah.
And she's like, "I didn't take them down. They're in the middle of the floor." So I'm like, okay, I'm on my way. We're 45 minutes away. I'm like calling Butt to get home, because she's like freaking out that she's like, the stools are at, everything's moved.
Yeah, I came, that's right. I
Yeah.
came home, now that I remember, I came home from school. We had 3 bar stools, and the island was right there. There was
One
one,
kind of like a window open like
Yeah,
this, and
like
then
an
the bar
opening.
stool, but there was a little bar thing there.
there was one in the main hallway, one in the living room, and one in the hallway
In the
to our
hallway
room.
to your room. Yeah.
They were spread out. And then that time, the cross, I think maybe this was the second time, I remember just Tom and Jake, I think it was, they had left. And they went somewhere. They literally had just left, and I had just got home from school. And these cast iron crosses that we have, I mean, they're hanging
They're
upstairs.
upstairs. They're heavy.
They're like at least 10 pounds. Those things are heavy.
Oh
They're
yeah, I
Cast
remember you
iron.
telling me this.
crosses. And it was just me. They literally just left. I went into the garage to get a drink, because that's where we had our drinks at. And as soon as I came back in, the cross that was from the living room in the middle was placed upright, right there as I opened the door. It was just right there on the floor, like it had just been moved. And I was like, I called Tom and Jess first, and I was like, did you guys do this? Oh, shit. I don't know, it might be on this one. I don't know if you guys can see, but the motion detection
We
bar
got
is
some action, y'all.
going off back here. We got some stuff, some activity going off. Are you listening to our conversation? If that's you, can you make that ball go off again? Or can you go towards that red dot? Can you make one of the balls go off? I'm gonna keep talking.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that cross was just like right there. And I called Jess and them because I thought, because we like to play pranks on each other in our
Right.
family, and I thought, okay, they're probably just joking with me. I'm like, hey, did you guys put this cross on the floor? And they're like, what cross? And I'm like, that cross from the living room, those cast iron ones. She's like, no. I'm like, are you guys serious? Like, you really didn't do that? And they're like, no. And that's when I was like, holy crap. But there was just so many things that
There
would
was a
happen
lot.
in that house. Like, literally, like, she experienced, you experienced. So I'm going to shut the hell up, and I'll let you talk about some of the
Yeah.
stuff that happened in that house.
Yes. I would say that some of the biggest things that happened, there was definitely something in that house. For one, I'll let you talk about your bedroom and your TV. I'll let you talk about
Yeah.
that. I'll let you deal with
I forgot
that.
about
But for
that.
me, the
Yeah.
biggest one that I can tell you that, to me, is probably the most paranormal experience that I've probably had up until recently, was in that house. And I had just gotten home from work. My sister Jessica was working, and Mel was working. No, they were with their dad, so nobody was home. Jess was the only one that was living with us at the time. Courtney was with Bobby for the weekend, and I don't even know that. Jake might have been with Tom because he was still little. But anyway, I get home, I pull in, I'm tired as heck, I've been at work all day. It's probably about 7:30, 8 o'clock at night because it had just gotten dark. And I walk in, I set my stuff down in the kitchen, and I go and set my stuff. I go to the fridge to get a drink, and I heard something. And I stopped for a minute, and I was like, what was that? And it sounded like it was coming from their bathroom, which, you know, would have been down the hallway from the kitchen, the opening that we're talking about. And it sounded like cabinets. And I was like, who's here? So I walk around the corner and go into their, there was kind of like a, I guess you call it like an in-law or mother-in-law room or whatever, where there's like a sink area, then you open the door, then there's like the shower.
Jack and Jill.
Jack and Jill bathroom, and then you open the other door and it went into her bathroom sink and then into her bedroom. And I heard something, so I went in there, nothing. So I opened the door to go into her room and I didn't hear nothing. So I start walking away and all of a sudden I heard the TV. I'll let you talk about the TV, and I was like, okay. I opened the door and I was like, okay, TV's on. Walked out and I go back through the same way I was coming, and I started to hear, like, literally, like, all the cabinets in the kitchen were being opened and closed, like, hard. And I was like, what in the heck is going on? So I come out, and the cabinets are, like, all opening and closing, like, I mean, like, slamming. Like, it was like
Out of a movie, yeah.
like, I was like, this is like a movie scene. Like, can't even be real. I would tell you that I do not get scared by, like, almost nothing. Ever. Like, I will, if I see something, I'll go walk right into that room. I'll confront it. I don't know what it was, but the whole hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I had full body chills, and something just told me to get the heck out of that house. And I just grabbed my keys, left my purse. I just grabbed my keys, went out the front door. I don't even know if I closed it. I got in my car, locked the doors, and I called Jess. I was like, where are you? Are you almost here? And she's like, I'm just leaving work. What's going on? And I was like, Jessica, something's going on in the house. I'm like, I don't know what the hell's going on. All the cabinets are moving. I'm like, in the bathroom, in the kitchen, the TV's going off. I'm like, I don't know. I was like, I'm not going back in there. I'm not going back in there until somebody gets here. And I was so freaked out. It was just like, I guess like it felt like
Surreal.
So, yeah, surreal. Like, I was like, is this really happening? Like, could this really be happening? Am I freaking out? But I think from all the different experiences that everyone else was having in the house, I knew that it was real. I knew that it was really happening. Something was really happening in that house. And I would say that's probably the most intense thing in that house that happened for me.
For you, yeah.
Yeah.
Mel?
Yeah, so the TV she was talking about, in my bedroom, I have a, it wasn't that black.
It is. It's outside. Yeah. It's in the garage.
Okay. So it's a black armoire, and it's got the doors that open, and I had a TV in there, and
Not no
I
flat
would
screen,
always
y'all.
have
No, old school kind of.
It was a small one, but it was a flat screen, but it was
The big box with the
a 19-inch TV. It fit perfect in there.
Yeah.
So I had that in there, and I had gotten it brand new, so I didn't even have it very long.
No.
It was a brand new TV, and I had, it was plugged in behind the armoire in the wall, and I had the remote control on the nightstand by my bed. And there's times that I would wake up and I could see the light on between the door. You can see the light in the crack of the doors. I could see the light on from the TV, and I'm like, look at the remote, and I'm like, hey, what in the world? So I didn't think nothing. Maybe I left it on. Maybe I just closed the door. I don't know. Maybe it's on a timer. I didn't know. So I opened it up, opened the doors, turned it off, went back to bed. And it kept happening, though. And it kept happening often. And there were times that, like, what is it?
Boston. He's
Okay.
Sorry. I just. Who's it?
It was,
I know. I kept
y'all
getting
getting
too. I was
scared.
like, I know. I was like,
No, it was happening often. And to the time, like, it's like I told you, I said, this is starting to freak me out because it will not stay off. Like, it was almost to a point where it was almost every night that it was just coming on by itself. So I went to the settings and I checked it out. None of the alarms or anything. It wasn't on a timer where it would automatically come on, nothing. So I took the batteries out of the remote, turned it all off, closed the doors, went to bed. Battery's not in the remote, and I'm thinking maybe I don't something. Turn it on in the middle of the night. I don't know. Took the batteries out, went to bed. Next morning the TV is on again, and like, what the heck? So after this happened a few times, I decided I am gonna unplug the TV.
It happened after
And
one
it
night you
happened
came
again.
running. The TV came on.
It was on, and the doors are closed. So it's like, what in the world? The TV was on, and it just scared the crap out of me.
Yeah.
I went to
I
go
told her
tell them
unplug
to
it,
come back. Yeah, and it was unplugged, but it was on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, this TV's
What?
gonna
Yeah, it really was.
It's
The
gotta
TV
go.
was unplugged, and she's like, it's unplugged. I was like, she's thinking she unplugged it. I went and looked, and that TV, that mother trucker was unplugged. And I was like, what
It's a done.
in the hell is going on? I was like, get that TV. She'd just gotten it. I think within the last 6 months.
Yeah.
And I was like, something's wrong with that TV. You need to get it out.
When that started happening, I didn't even watch that TV no more. It's like I would watch TV with you guys in the living room,
Yeah.
and watch
Yeah.
our shows and whatnot in the living room, but like I would know that TV.
I still remember though, before you unplugged it, you came in after you'd taken the batteries out running in my room. I took the batteries out of it. I was like, what? I was not fucking happy.
Well, and just to play off of that, like, there was times when, like, I'd be playing with Shyla in the living room, and I had the stereo on, and the stereo would just, the volume would increase on its own. It just would start turning up.
Turn it up.
And we're like, what the heck? And I'm like, we had this one, like, motion activated, like, Halloween decoration, and we had it out, but it was all the way by the front door, and it would start going off. And it would only go off if you walked by it. And I'm like, what the heck? But also, remember when you heard somebody say wrong way?
Yes.
That was in that hallway that goes to her room,
Yeah.
and then to where
Yeah.
there's literally, you go down the hallway, and the end, it's a short hallway. Junior's door was right there.
Yeah, you
Samantha's
walk up
there.
to Junior's door, Samantha's is
And the
to
Jack
the-
and Jill bathroom goes that way, and then my room's on the other side of Samantha's. And then across the hallway right here on this side was the
washroom.
laundry room. And yeah, we were all
We were all in the garage.
we were all in the garage, and we were just hanging out, having some drinks, and we were just all in and out of the house. And who did I pass in the hallway? Tom was coming down the hallway, going
Tom.
towards the restroom. I had just come out, and as soon as I walked out, Tom hadn't even come down the hallway yet. I didn't even see him, and I heard like somebody walk behind me, kind of like real close, right behind me, go wrong way. Said it just like that, wrong way.
Oh,
And then I turned around, and I'm like, who the heck? And then I'm like,
She
looking, and I come out to the hallway, and Tom is coming towards me, and I said, did you hear that? He goes, hear what? I said, I heard wrong way, but that was not you? And he was like, no, that was not me. I was just came out the garage door. Like, I know what I heard.
Yeah, it's a joke now. We're all wrong way.
Yeah,
No,
wrong way.
it's so funny you bring up stereo, because now that you said that, I remember when I was little, we had like something like the stereo system or something like that, and the volume would just, out of nowhere, me and my brother would be watching TV and the volume would just crank all the way up, and my mom would be like, turn that down, and we're like, we didn't do it, like, now that you say that, I'm like, oh my gosh, like,
Maybe
but-
that was something.
yeah, I was like, maybe there was always been something around us, because, like I said too, I used to have like such vivid, crazy dreams as like a child, like dreams about murder, dreams about zombies before I even knew what zombies were, like crazy dreams.
Yeah.
And I'm like 3 or 4 years old.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Ashley, what else you got? Come on, you've been awfully quiet.
Yeah.
Tell us about this house in Mexico.
So basically, these houses in Mexico, everyone says haunted. So a lot of our family members don't like to stay the night over there because people say like,
How old is the house?
it's like 50 or 60 years old.
Okay.
It's pretty old. It might be older than that.
And
That's
your-
how long y'all had it,
and
right? That's what you said?
Your grandparents lived there from the beginning?
Yes.
Okay.
So it used to be kind of like a little shack, and then as time went on, you know, they started like
Adding stuff to it,
Adding
yeah.
stuff. So now it's like 2 stories, and then like there's a patio and stuff. But anyways, so my great grandfather died in that property, and then how he died basically, he kind of just bled out.
Oh.
So I don't know how, like except like the details of it.
Yeah.
But my mom was the one who found them, so she was kind of like 4 or 5 whenever she found him.
Oh gosh.
So what everyone says that basically when she was little, she kind of just ran down. Her dress was soaked in blood, and her hands were soaked in blood. And then my mom didn't speak for probably like a couple of years. And then apparently now people see like this little girl in her house too. So people think it's probably my mom, kind of like her
Yeah.
child.
Residual energy.
Yep.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
people will see her there, and then like, because apparently my cousin now lives with my grandparents' house, so she usually brings all her friends, and sometimes her friends stay over, and then all her family like drink a lot, so usually like we'll be drunk and stuff, but everyone kind of like be like, oh, this little girl came into our room. Oh, she just keeps looking at us. They're like, oh, your kids are in our room, but like there's no little girls that are in our family that age now.
Yeah.
So everyone thinks it's her.
Could be. That is actually, I've read on some books, and that is a possibility.
Yeah.
That there's it's like a moment in time that's recorded, and that energy stays there. And usually it's when something traumatic
Very
happens.
traumatic.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Maybe
that's definitely, I
It
believe,
literally.
a possibility.
It
Scared
scared
your mom to death.
it did. It scared
I've never
that.
heard of this before.
Yeah.
I haven't heard of that
Yeah.
experience before.
In one of
Yeah,
my books
mean,
that I
believe
have, that I've read about paranormal and stuff like that, is like, it could be
Wow.
like a recorded moment in time. I've even read like that you can see your own apparition, like your own self. And that's just like from something that like she said, traumatic happened, like
Yeah.
that the energy is just recorded there. And so like that, it'll
Kind of
be
like-
on like a replay.
Trapped in time.
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
That's really crazy.
But apparently though, so I got the story wrong, but there wasn't a second floor yet. So he died kind of like in the patio. But apparently before he passed away, there was that woman in white. So we don't know who it is, because apparently, I don't know what happened. Like we had like, I don't know how you say it in English. It's kind of like a
Well,
well.
just say it in
like
Spanish.
A modia?
Yeah. Oh well.
A well. So there was that. So apparently we found kind of like some coins there. And we found like a long sword there. So we don't know if it's like from Revolutionary times.
Spanish.
Could be.
So my grandpa has those. And then, so everyone knows about the woman in white. So whenever my great grandfather passed away, that's who he was seeing before
Oh, before he
he
passed.
passed away. So we don't know there's that. And then the whole shadow thing, we don't know where that's coming
Where
from.
that's coming
It could
from.
be like residual energy, because there's always been like, pretty much everyone in our family has lived at that house at some point.
Yeah.
So we don't know what it could be.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
That's
thank
really
you everyone for
Yes,
watching.
thank you so
We
much.
hope that you enjoyed the stories and how we got into the paranormal and having our paranormal experiences. And stay tuned for next week where we'll be talking about another paranormal hot topic.
Bye.
Bye!
Dura.
How about, yeah, one eye over here, one eye over here. Good. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Okay.
All right.
I feel like we're doing a seance.
I know.
Right.
It's like Beetlejuice.
It's like bright too, the lights are like shining at us. I'm just kidding. Did nobody see me up there? Oh. Okay. Okay, get it together. No, stop laughing. All right. Hey everyone, welcome back. I hope you're having a good day whenever you are. My name is Sam, and this is
Whenever you want.
Whenever. Yes, I said that on purpose because I don't know when they're gonna be watching it.
We're meant to be together.
I'm gonna start all over. You twits.
Y'all need to get it together.
Yeah, Ashley.
She's the most collected one out of everybody.
You need to get your shit together. Seriously.
Okay.
Are we live right now?
No, okay.
Okay,
Okay.
we should go
I'll
live.
say.
That's what I thought you were gonna do with your
ridiculous right
phone.
now.
No, I'm just recording and then I'll Okay. post a video later. Okay.
And then you got Charles Barkley. Then we went down to the three-quarter line and I did a free throw, but I couldn't reach it without my toes. And then I had 55 nets into my pocket. And you know, back when Shaq beat Kobe, he said,
Oh my god. Wait, is Priscilla
Yeah, she's down there.
Oh, okay. I just wasn't sure.